What's good, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of the Sam D podcast with a little bit of timeline tea flavor mixed in. This is a post first round of the NFL draft recap, and there is so much to get into that I had to bring the homie back. He was gracious enough to give us a full first round mock draft not that long ago. Check the archives if you haven't peeped that. I'll put a link to that down below, as well as all of his social information. But I needed help to break this down because so much was happening, so many QBs, so many reaches, so many receivers. So to help me break all this down, I'm bringing the homie back in. Stephonè Sheffield is gracious enough to come back to the platform and bless us with the content, bless us with the knowledge and the information. So let's not wait any further. Let's jump right into the two box because we do things a little clean over here. Let's jump right into the two box. You see the homie. Let me go ahead and unmute his mic. Stephon, what's good, bro? First round was lit last night. Give me your thoughts, man. What's good?
What's good, bro? Thanks for having me on again. Always a privilege to be on here, to talk the game.
Sure.
We do it for the love of the game, bro. That's why we do it.
Sure, all the time.
That first round was insane. My first initial thoughts, I know people's going to think it's going to be about Penix, but does defense not matter anymore? Like, do we not care about defense? I guess with all the rule changes, like, hey, it's going to hurt the defense anyway. We might as well get more offensive players. That's my first initial thought when I saw the first 20 picks. 4 of them was defense? Like, come on, bro.
Right. It was no. To piggyback off of that, I agree with you. Like the way that the league, like there's trends every year, right? There was a run on receivers last year. There was a run on. There's always been a run on quarterbacks, but last night more than any other of recent memory, anyway, is like, okay, this is all about not just offense but scoring.
Right. Scoring.
Not just you gotta have we gotta do some put points up. QBs who could put points up, receivers who could put points up, weapons. Like it's definitely a trend this year.
Yeah, it was literally insane. After like pick 10, those were kind of expected. One of them not so much. But once you got into that 14, 15 range, you're like, we're still going?
Still going.
It was insane. The way the league treated it has to be because of the recent rule changes, or it has to be because of that. That's the only explanation I got for it.
Offense is in, and everyone's trying to find that next Mahomes. Everyone's trying to find that next Justin Jefferson. Like everyone's trying to find that next game changer. And you spoke about this the last time you was on in your mock. Like sometimes it's for a position of need when you're drafted, but sometimes it's just I need a star. I'm gonna shoot for the stars and try to land a star. And with some of these picks, that was definitely the case last night.
Oh, for sure. I mean, with TV contracts coming up, they increased the cap salary. What do you want? You want star power. And if it's not on need, it's like who gonna bring in the fans? And you saw that a lot last night. So I'm interested to get into it.
So, I mean, look, let's go ahead and jump right into the screen. As much as we could get on here and talk about, analyzing these picks, pick by pick, the biggest story last night has to be that Michael Penix, you are an Atlanta Falcon. That shook up the timeline, the group chats, that shook everything up last night.
Everything.
Walk me through when you found out what your initial thought process was when you heard that the Falcons, no cap, no joking, no April Fools, they're drafting Michael Penix after giving Kirk Cousins a bag just last month.
But my initial thought was, what? What? You have a 35-year-old quarterback who you just gave 180 M's to, coming off a huge, nasty leg injury, just to get a guy in college who's had three nasty leg injuries. And so I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Because the fit initially just doesn't make sense, right? Because if you're saying, Kirk Cousins, he's going to show us what our weapons look like, because that's what he does. He spreads the ball around. He's not elite, but he's good. So if we want to see, is Kyle Pitts the guy? If we want to see if Drake London's the guy, if we want to see, if Bijan can be the guy, you bring in a Kirk Cousins, right? And I guess that's why you give him 180 M's. But then to go and draft Michael Penix, I'm like, I didn't get that at first. I didn't get it.
I definitely did not get it. It was something that quite frankly, I was working last night on a hockey game, and I literally said out loud, "Oh shit, when the
Yeah.
pick came down. And I think that was all of our collective responses of like, what
For
the fuck
sure.
just happened? Like, how the hell are you going to do this? And, I think immediately this calls into question, what was the thought process behind it? What could have been the rationale? Because as me and you have talked about all online and offline, like, look, the Falcons have a lot of questions that need answering.
Right.
This isn't a team that's a QB away. There's a few things that they could have filled in. They could have improved the O-line. They could have improved the defense. They could have went many different ways with this 8th pick. And to go QB when you just gave, like you said, 180 M's, some of it is funny money, but still a significant amount of money to the ultimate bag getter in Kirk Cousins. We need to hear from the front office in terms of why did they do this? What was the thought process? What was the rationale? I was able to find the little presser that they had after the pick was announced. This is Raheem Morris and the Falcons GM, Terry Fontenot, talking to the media. And I just want to navigate, even in this 45-second clip, do we even get the answer?
Ready?
Right.
All right, guys. Very, very excited about today, about the outcome of today. Being able to add Michael Penix Jr. When you can add a high caliber player like that with his intangibles, those tools, he's a winner. Very, very excited. You don't pass up that opportunity.
Okay, so let's stop there. You can't pass up this opportunity. I hear you, but I don't believe you when you're saying that, because is Michael Penix that good where you're sitting at 8 and he's there and you're like, there's no way that we can't pass on Michael Penix Jr. Like, I never thought of him to be that caliber. He's good, should be a first round. I can see people saying maybe second round, more ideally in a deeper draft. Cool. But at 8, saying there's no way I could let Penix slide past 8, I can't co-sign that. Can you?
So I think context matters, right? Like at 8, when you just signed Kirk Cousins, right? I think that's the biggest thing. So if you don't have Kirk Cousins on this roster, I can see it. So that means you pretty much, your quarterback's coming in pretty much ready to go. You know what I mean? There's not going to be a growing period with Michael Penix, which is why if you go back to the mock draft, and we talked about this, I had him ranked below, a Drake May, right? It's not because I think Drake May is better. It's just because you have less room to grow with Michael Penix, right? Because he's closer to a finished product. He's 23 or 24, and Drake May is 21, right? So if I'm a GM and I'm saying this, okay, one guy is pretty much the closest to completion, which is Michael Penix. Maybe if I'm a new coach, I'm a new GM, I got my guys around me, maybe I want to tweak some things with a younger QB who's not fully developed, which is a Drake May, right? So if you're telling me, okay, we don't have Kirk Cousins and now we're drafting Michael Penix, it's okay. He's probably going to be in his prime next year. So, yeah, I can see you doing that. But to draft him knowing you just gave the bag to Kirk Cousins, no, I don't think I can co-sign it. Not at first. Not at first. Now, I know they're going to say it's going to cause a problem in the locker room, but it's pretty much like in 2012 when the Commanders drafted RG3 in the first round. It didn't draft Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing to me.
Yeah, Kirk has been here before. I think the funniest piece for me is one, Raheem Morris is happy as hell. But moving past that, it's like, all right, well, look, they gave us the appropriation of Kirk Cousins with the grills and the Party City chains and all that shit. Oh, now you're going to have someone that's coming in with an authentic, multi-layered, patterned do-rag into that facility. So you went from cosplay appropriation to the real deal of Michael Penix. I'm here for it. I just can't stand the fact that at 8, that's the move. Because like you said, they went and got Kirk Cousins. But for me, it's like, it's one or the other. And I think that's why we saw that video last night that went viral of Fontenot, who's here in the vid, talking to Arthur Blank. Because I'm sure Arthur Blank is like, well, dog, you just convinced me to give a bag to Kirk Cousins. Now you want to spin the block at 8? Right. And I got to cash out another 16 M's to a dude that in theory, won't play for at least a year or two, or maybe even 3 because of Kirk's contract,
Right.
that's a hard spin to a GM like Arthur, to an owner like Arthur Blank.
All right. So you assume that you don't pick a quarterback in the top 10 without at least having the owners okay. That's what we're going to assume. We're gonna assume
I
that,
hope
right?
so. Yeah.
And then like you said, this isn't like Jordan Love, who came in at like what 22, 21 or whatever,
Right.
and you sat behind Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Like he's 24 or turning 24, right? And you're saying, oh, you're gonna sit for 2 years. At least that's our plan because they did put out, oh, Kirk's our quarterback. He's the guy we're going with. You know,
Yeah.
Michael Penix is the future. Well, you're gonna have him sit for 2 or 3 years because that's valuable prime time that you're missing out on. Now, if you tell me the Rams did this because Matthew Stafford is gonna be his last year, you know, when we
Right.
get the next guy up, there's not gonna be a developmental period because, like I said, he's the closest thing to completion to me. You know what I mean? Now, I could have understood that. Okay, Rams didn't necessarily need a quarterback, but I see you're trying to pivot from the Matthew Stafford era, right?
Yeah.
But the Falcons to do this, I mean, we know how Atlanta Falcons fans are. Kirk gonna make one bad pass or have one bad game, and you'll be looking,
Penix.
That do-rag can be calling to him like the Green Goblin mask, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, Michael Penix as a player, I do like him. Like you said, the silky. I mean, at the draft, that's the first time I seen him without a do-rag.
Dog, I was so stunned. I'm like, yo, bro, like, yo, dog, like the do-rag is your symbol now. Like, you have to rock that.
Did you see the woman sitting next to him?
I did. Yes.
Baby, if you're watching this, I'm saying some clicks. Just calm down. But it was refreshing. Refreshing to see a Nubian queen. But so I said, that's Atlanta. Now, if you didn't have Kirk Cousins and then you did this, hey, you ain't got no beef from me. No beef from me. But it does call into question because you did just give Kirk Cousins all that money. So that seems like malpractice, but hey, ain't my team.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like I want to hear more of what Terry had to say, but I think to that initial point of we couldn't pass on him at 8, I just find that to be a little fugazi.
That opportunity, and Kirk Cousins is our quarterback. We're very excited about Kirk. Very excited about this team, and Michael Penix is. We're talking about the future. The draft is. You look at the future, and
you see how Terry's out here spinning all the poetic shit about Kirk Cousins. Raheem's over there sipping that Poland Spring, like, bro, I can't wait to get this cosplay motherfucker up out of here, bro. I can't wait to get this Party City chain wearing that dude up out of here, like
rubbing his hands like Birdman in his head, boy.
Facts. He's like, yo, I'm gonna send Kirk ass to Marietta, and I'm gonna have Penix up here, and we gone.
Over it.
You look at big picture, but we are very excited about that quarterback room. And again, Kirk is our quarterback, but adding Michael Penix is thinking about the future. Ready?
So now I get the concept of, look, we're all assuming Kirk's going to come back and he's going to be Kirk Cousins, whatever level you assume that is. But this is an older dude. This is an older dude coming off of ACL and Achilles and all that. So there is some risk there into assuming Kirk Cousins is going to be ready to go week 1. So I understand if you just want to, hey, look, man, this is insurance. Having Michael Penix at 8, we took him as insurance in case Kirk is older than we thought. The rehab doesn't go as well as we thought. And maybe we see opportunity to, let's not invest all this time in just one person that ultimately at his ceiling is mid. Let's have a mid QB to be our starter, to be our bridge, and then have a youngin' in the tuck. I get the philosophy, but at 8, that's the only thing that but the way this draft went, having the knowledge of how the draft went, could we even assume if they would have traded back that Penix was going to be there? Was Penix going to slip past the Vikings or the Broncos if you trade back far? So maybe they had to take him at 8 if you really wanted him.
And they say hindsight is 20/20, right? And I fully believe that if he did slip past the Vikings, if he did slip past the Broncos, he wasn't getting past the Raiders. I fully believe that.
Right.
Because we will take Michael Penix over Aiden O'Connell, and who
Right.
if there even is what Gardner Minshew, come on, bro. I'm taking Michael Penix over all of them. So you might be right. He wasn't making it that far. Now I knew there was going to be some reaches, but listening to Mel, you would have thought JJ McCarthy was going to pick 6. So I mean, you know how I feel about JJ McCarthy. I'm not. We're gonna get into that, but
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be the reach of the night. But to hear Michael Penix at 8, seriously, like you said, the group chat was blowing up everywhere.
Oh, it was on fire. It was on fire. And, even the most casual of fan was like, hit me up like, why are they taking a quarterback? And I'm like, dog, I got nothing for you. I got no rational explanation, bro. I got nothing for you, bro. Like, I wish I could tell you why, but it's happening.
Right. No insider info on this one. I am stunned just like you.
Yeah. And I think that's where, when all these dudes, the Schefters of the world, the Rappaports of the world, all these dudes get paid, the Jay Glazers get paid all this bread to be insiders, none of them would say it with their chest and say, the Falcons are going to go quarterback.
Right.
They tried to cop their pleas. Well, yeah, we heard rumors, da-da-da-da. Like, no. I don't want to hear that after. I don't want to hear that after. Y'all are supposed to get paid buku bread to be the ones that have the tea of, yo, the Falcons are still going to go QB. Because that would have, imagine if we would have had that tea Monday, but they didn't tell us which QB. Like, the Falcons are looking at a QB. The hot takes would have been crazy from Monday to last night.
Right.
JJ McCarthy, is it Bo Nix? Like, is it a sleeper? Is somebody going to get a super reach? Like, the trade scenarios would have been even crazier to cook up with them sitting at 8. So this, to me, stole the draft. Not necessarily stealing Penix at 8 is a steal, but just the story of the Falcons taking Michael Penix at 8 stole the draft.
Yeah, and you saw reports that the Vikings tried to trade up to get Penix. You saw that the Broncos and the Raiders tried the same thing. So, I mean, are the Falcons smarter than we think? But you also have to remember, who was getting the most hype outside of the big 3? JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
It was JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, it was JJ.
I think the only person talking about Michael Penix as a legit first rounder was you and me. And we talked about doing my mock draft. That was before pro days.
Right.
Before pro days. So, where, like you said, Schefter, you're supposed to get paid to give us this inside tea. Kuiper, you know what Kuiper do.
Yeah.
Rappaport, you're supposed to give us Jeff Darlington, Kimberly Amon, all these people.
Right.
Y'all are paid to give us this inside info. What? Like, I think this was the left field thing that I was expecting to happen. We talked about that too last podcast. Like, there's always that one person who goes kind of off script. You know what I mean? And for it to happen with the Falcons, like with the QB, like I thought it was going to be the Giants. They listen to Mill. They're going to take the whole JJ McCarthy spin, and we're going to be like, oh, terrible. But to draft Malik Neighbors, I kind of like that. But then for the Falcons to spin a block and get Penix at 8, bro,
absolutely crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Like, bro, I in this time, and we'll move on after this, but just trying to navigate what the Falcons look like going forward. Taking the fact of you had the 8th pick, you had a chance to really establish yourself and change the culture. They bring in a new coach. They bring in a new QB. That seemed to be the problem. The problem was the coaching and the lack of a QB. You fixed both those things in one offseason. Now you're supposed to build from a strength from a position of strength with this 8th pick. And then to kind of, I won't say stunt the growth, but kind of alter the trajectory of the roster, because I think this roster is close to being at least a wild card team, and in that division that's been mid, it's a winnable division.
Right.
I don't know if taking Michael Penix this year helps you this year. Maybe 2 years from now it does, but I don't know if that's worth the sacrifice of taking a guy at 8 when you're this close to taking a division that's mid.
Right. And again, the whole thing in this is you paid Kirk Cousins. That's the whole thing, because I was fully aware. I totally believe that they was going to take Dallas Turner, and that's the pick that you get to change the course of your team. Think about it. Raheem Morris is a defensive guru. You know what I mean? So imagine what he could do with the elite pass rusher like Dallas Turner. And I was texting my friends, oh yeah, Dallas Turner out the door, bro. Dallas Turner gone. ATL. He going from Tuscaloosa to Atlanta. That's
Right.
nothing. And for you to completely shock me and go Michael Penix, bro, like I said, that initial thought was. So I mean, we'll see it pay off in the long run. But like you said, this is not a move that'll help you this year. If anything, it's going to cause more confusion in the locker room, amongst the fans, amongst everything, right? Because you draft him at 8. Do you expect him to play much? Do you expect him like?
You can't.
How short is that leash with Kirk Cousins now? You know what I mean? Because like if you do draft Dallas Turner here, assuming Michael Penix is gone, okay, he has a longer leash because who's the backup?
Right.
But,
And you know, to be real, like I'm trying to navigate. I'll have to look it up and see how many more picks they have, but that type of collateral when you're close in that division where you have a Drake London, you have a Kyle Pitts, you have a Bajan, and you have a defense that should be, you know, solid, maybe not upper tier, but should be solid. Like that division, Tampa Bay hasn't gotten better. The Saints haven't gotten better. Like that division is there for the taking. And if you're Raheem Morris, I'm trying to win now. Michael Penix at 8 is not a win now move.
yeah, you pretty much telling me, hey, Kirk Cousins, you on the clock, even though we just gave you 180 million.
Right. And I'll show the people his contract real quick, and then we'll slide to the QBs. But I want people to see this contract. So this contract here, it is a 3-year deal essentially. I know it's 4 years, 180, but there is some funny money in here because it's not all guaranteed. Only 100 of the 180 is fully guaranteed. So he's getting only $12.5 million this year. He's getting $27.5 next year. So you're only looking at about 40-ish, close to 40 mil over 2 years. That's low money for a starting level QB. But it's that third year, that $35 million, and the cap hit is $57.5 million. That's the poison pill.
That's that Prescott type cap hits.
Right. So if they want to get out of this contract, it has to be before that third year.
Oh yeah.
But if you're another team, why would you take up a 38-year-old Kirk Cousins on the third year of a deal where you're giving him 35+ mil a year?
And you have to assume that the Falcons going to eat most of that cap anyway. They were to trade him. You have to assume that.
You have to. And that kind of opens up the thing of, well, how does Penix play? How and when does Penix play? Because this contract doesn't really dictate for Kirk Cousins to be a bridge until that third year.
Right.
Interesting.
Like by that time, he's Penix is 26, turning 27.
Yeah, he'll be 27 years old. You're telling me that man hasn't started a game in 3 years? He's just going to marinate on the bench for 3 years as the 8th overall pick?
That's valuable time he missing, man. It's valuable time.
There's only so many reps. Even like, all right, Mahomes, yes, he sat for a year, but you had Alex Smith. Alex Smith took that team to the playoffs the year before, so you could understand why, all right, sit behind Alex.
Right.
But that was just 1 year. Andy Reid wasn't stupid. I'm not going to have this dude sit behind him for 2-3 years. 1 year, Alex, great, took us to the playoffs. It's time, though.
Mm-hmm. So you have to look at these QBs. So when I think about this whole Michael Penix situation versus another young quarterback, I think about Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in a way, right? Because Lamar Jackson's been in the league longer than Joe Burrow, but they're the same age. So when you see Joe Burrow when he came into the league, he's kind of like a Michael Penix, not in their style of play or anything like that, but being close to a finished product, right? I mean, he came in, he could throw the ball, he could pretty much put it where he wanted. Processing, all that stuff was good. It was probably 1 or 2 things he had to fix. Cool. Versus Lamar Jackson. When he came in, what was he? Running gun. Right. He developed into, okay, let me sit down. Let me sit in the pocket a little bit. Let me process things. Hey, is this the right throw or is this the best throw? You know what I mean? He learned those things. So that's when I say versus like Michael Penix versus a Drake May. Finished product or close to it versus somebody who can develop. When you got somebody who's close to a finished product, you don't have them sit for 2-3 years. You can't. That's prime time that they're missing out on. I think Joe Burrow, his rookie season, he got hurt. What happened that second year?
You're stuck.
Finished product. He's ready. He's ready to play. So that's why for the Falcons, who has Kirk Cousins, this is confusing to me. But hey, like I said, it ain't my team. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. There's only so much you could do. I'm sure, at least I hope Fontenot and Raheem have a plan, because it certainly was the biggest, like, for sure, a reach. But when you compound it with the Kirk Cousins piece, it makes it that much bigger of a reach.
Right.
But the main thing, Steph, 6 QBs in the first 14 picks. We knew Caleb was going to go to the Bears. We knew Jaden Daniels would go to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May, the Patriots don't trade out. They stick at 3. They take Drake May out of University of North Carolina. We thought maybe the Giants might do it with JJ. It was a lot of JJ to the Giants smoke because of, Mel Kiper and others. But nope, they don't go QB.
Right.
Falcons, Shockers go QB with Penix. The Vikings trade up, flip up with the Jets to get from 11 to 10. So they must have knew somebody was coming to get JJ. Whoever that may be, we'll probably never know. But JJ McCarthy at 10 to the Vikings. And then the Broncos, who just traded for Zach Wilson, they have that might be the worst QB room in the history of the NFL, even with Bo Nix, low-key. But certainly prior to drafting Bo Nix, with the QBs they had in there with Zach Wilson, trash. Now they even go and got a 4th QB in Bo Nix. So with what you saw with these 6 QBs, what did you like? What's the best fit? Who didn't you like? What's the worst fit?
So let's talk about this Broncos situation first. Let's start there and work our way up. So the starting QB for the Broncos right now is projected to be Jarrett Stidham, right?
Right.
Jarrett Stidham, who was the starting quarterback for Auburn back in the day. Who replaced Jarrett Stidham at Auburn? Oh, it was Bo Nix. So that's funny in itself. Okay, cool. So what do we know about Bo Nix? I called him Texas Tech, Baker Mayfield. Maybe he didn't pass the biotech. I don't know. But Sean Payton, you send off Russell Wilson. He wasn't your guy. You didn't like him, whatever. But then you draft Bo Nix, right? So a lot of people say, oh, he's similar to Drew Brees. I mean, what do we know about Drew Brees? He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever. Yeah. Okay. Bo Nix wasn't that accurate at Auburn, but he showed us that at Oregon. Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, he was quick with his decision-making. Okay, I'll give you that for Bo Nix. He's a lot more athletic than Drew Brees was. I mean, Drew Brees wasn't too athletic, but hey, Bo Nix has that going for him. And they said that they did a workout after the pro day, and they liked him. They gave him the playbook. The next day he came through and he crushed it. So he's a smart kid. Smart guy because he's older as well. Smart guy. Mm-hmm. Intelligence, his IQ is off the charts. Like I told you, we talked off screen about this. Like, I saw him at Auburn. I went to Auburn. So I saw him through a biased eye. I had to take that away and completely change the way I saw him, basically. So, I mean, he's not a terrible QB. I mean, I get when you got 5 QBs gone and you kind of need somebody. I can see it. If Sean Payton likes him, then okay. But I don't think it doesn't move the needle a lot for me. Like you said, still probably the worst QB room. Well, that and the Raiders. The Raiders is terrible. But
agreed.
It's still not okay. We're going to make some noise because you're still going against, the Chiefs twice. You're going against the Chargers. And so you're probably at best the 3rd best team in that division. Even it's pretty weak. So,
So, I mean, I think so collectively you're saying it was a meh move. It was a like, I get it. I see why you did it, but it doesn't really shake the needle. It doesn't move the landscape. It doesn't put you any closer to being relevant.
Right. And this is what got me good. They said Sean Payton came on record saying, back in 2017, he wanted to trade up to get Patrick Mahomes. Missed. Sure. And he had to, eventually they settled on drafting Marshawn Lattimore. He said he felt the same way about Bo Nix. It's like,
I don't want to hear that now.
I don't. Just, you're putting unnecessary pressure on him already. You're not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes in the sense of their play style, but in the way that you feel about him,
I
you're
can't miss
already
out on
putting
him
that
like I missed out on. Yeah. Stop it.
right.
Stop
Because
it.
like Bo Nix has already dealt with an unreal amount of pressure
And
since
that's
high
why
school.
he's bounced around so much. Yeah.
Right. So you went to Auburn, your legacy, your dad played there. So as a freshman, you already came in, okay, you're a hometown kid, the saving grace. I mean, you was at the game when Cam Newton brought us back against Alabama in the Cam back, 27-28, right? You were
Mm-hmm.
there, they ran up the picture all the time. Your dad did this and whenever he did it. So the amount of pressure you were faced with, even as like an 18-year-old kid, was monumental. Now your coach saying, hey, I feel about Bo Nix the way I feel about Patrick Mahomes. What?
Can't do that.
Come on, you can't do that. And
People
then
should know better.
I hope he's able to handle the pressure. I want him to succeed. I mean, I don't think he'll be, a Pro Bowl caliber QB. Do I think he'll be good? Yeah, he's a good QB, but I mean, once you've seen all the other 5 QBs goes, like, okay, either we get him now or risk the Raiders getting him. Because the Raiders were definitely going to get a quarterback. I mean, it's going to be a reach, but hey, it's reaching all night.
Well, here's the thing, and we'll move on to JJ McCarthy next. Like, are we at the point where, even though QBs don't stand, like, okay, I'll rephrase it.
Okay.
The jump from college to the league, are we overestimating how difficult that is? Because clearly, me and you have been talking online and offline that, hey man, you might have gotten some numbers off in college, but the league is the league. It's a different level, et cetera, et cetera. Apparently, people in the league feel like Bo Nix can make that jump, and there's real questions about whether he can. JJ McCarthy, another one where, I was talking yesterday with folks, and like, well, I don't know. We haven't seen JJ McCarthy be the guy. We haven't seen JJ McCarthy be leaned on to lead a team continuously. It was either Michigan was either so far ahead that it didn't matter, or their philosophy was ground and pound, so there's no reason to chuck the rock. So apparently with that limited sample size, the Vikings felt compelled enough to move up one spot to go get JJ McCarthy. Are we looking at this the wrong way? Because clearly people in the league that allegedly know more ball than us feel otherwise.
Bro, I think a lot of these teams get caught up in the hype. You know how I feel about JJ McCarthy. You know how I feel about him. I don't think he's a terrible QB. I just don't think he's the QB that Mel and some of the other experts proclaimed him to be. Like you and I both talked about this. When you watch the tape, nothing really jumps out at you.
No flashes, yeah.
What is he best at? He's best probably in play action.
Handing the ball off.
Who's the running back? It's Aaron Jones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you kind of depend on Aaron Jones to be an elite version of himself to even get JJ to a point to where, okay, this is where he's best at. This is where he's going to thrive at, right? Now, the best thing I say for JJ McCarthy is probably the best situation because at Michigan, you had weapons, right? You had Blake Corum. You had Ron Wilson. You had all these. You had a good amount of receivers. Now you're going to the Vikings. You got arguably the best receiver, Justin Jefferson. Right. You got, a guy you drafted last year, the rookie, and then you got Osborne. Okay, and you got probably fourth best tight end. So you got
weapons got weapons.
There. You got weapons, right? So that's probably the best thing. I like this destination better than I would like the Giants because obviously the Giants, okay, we're limited. You gotta make shit happen. At least at the Vikings, okay, we got weapons around you, so maybe that can, that can help you out a little bit, give you a little buffer. But the main thing is you have to sell Justin Jefferson on this. That's who you got to sell on this. And forget everything else. If he like, hey, I don't like this, I'm gone. Then you back to square one.
Yeah, I feel like with this move, I've been debating on this podcast for a few years now in terms of, do you just swing for the fences and hope you get an elite guy, or do you just take a good enough guy and just surround him with weapons? We've seen it work in both ways. We've seen Mahomes do it damn near by himself, and we've seen other teams jump up and have just a multitude of, like Brady with the Bucs, a multitude of weapons and go get another Lombardi. So that's kind of the two ways you kind of have to build your team. It seems like we're entering the mode though, and I think it's because it makes sense. It's hard to find a Mahomes. It's hard to find a Burrow. It's hard to find these dudes that are straight elite top tier. So yeah, go get a JJ McCarthy and let's surround him with everything and see if he could cook up. Let's make it the easiest for him to cook up.
But look at the QBs that you pointed out, right?
Right.
Look at the QBs you pointed out. You said Mahomes.
Right. He's a one of one. You ain't finding another.
You said Tom Brady. You can even look at CJ Stroud. But look at what he was in college.
Right.
You can Joe Burrow, one of the greatest seasons a quarterback has had in college.
Right.
Hell, you can even go back to Cam Newton. Heisman winner everywhere.
You know a one-on-one when you see one.
We didn't say this about JJ McCarthy.
Never ever.
Now, the best thing he has going for him is what? You have a great tight end and you have an elite number one receiver. So, like I said, maybe that can compensate a little bit. I mean, having a number one receiver for a young QB is, I think, is vital. I mean, look at Bryce Young in Carolina. He had Adam.
You have to give him weapons. Whoever you take.
Exactly. So, like, people have this, this thinking that Bryce Young was trash. Excuse me. Do you watch ball? Did you watch him at Alabama? You can't say, "Oh, this is a terrible car," but hey, we got flat tires, transmission bad. My AC out. Hey, but it's still a terrible car. Well, obviously, you have no pieces. And that's pretty much what Bryce Young had to deal with. So, like I said, this is a better situation for JJ than going to the Giants because that's just terrible over there.
There's no weapons.
There's no weapons.
It's the same thing. And that's why I think, like, if you're in that position where you're the Giants, I'm not mad that they didn't go QB because, again, you need something for this QB to throw to.
Right.
Like, who they got? Hyatt last year. And he flashed, but again, you're dealing with Daniel Jones. So again, there's only so much you can do. Now you go and get Neighbors. So now you have Neighbors, Hyatt. You could still talk about some of the Shepard is still there. Like you can talk yourself into some of the other guys as being pieces. But
Darren Waller,
he is going through some things right now.
He lost Kelsey Plum. Sorry to that, brother.
Yeah, and he is tweeting through it and doing bad music videos about it. But if you're trying to get there and build, I think the trend now is no matter who your QB is, and I think it's a smart trend. This is actually something I'm actually in favor of. No matter who your QB is, whether he's a franchise Mahomes guy or whether he's mid and, a JJ McCarthy, I'm going to give him as many weapons as possible. I'm going to make it impossible for him to fail because you can make the case, look, Jalen Hurts, we know he's good, but there's a level between being good and being damn near an MVP. And that's why they went out there and went and got A.J. Brown. They went out there and made sure we're going to give him a top tier, without a doubt, in his prime, number one wide receiver and make it impossible for him to fail. And he excelled. And I think that's what teams are trying to do now. It's like, all right, he's good. How can we make him great and or elite? And that's by surrounding them with weapons.
And so that's a good pivot point for me, right? Because you talk about no matter who the QB is, we're going to surround him with weapons. So you asked me the moves I liked and I didn't like. That brings up the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay. Like, you draft Brock Bowers, who, in my opinion, is a great prospect. Great tight end. You want to put him in the slot, put him in H-back, whatever you want to do with him, he can do it all. But when you look at the Raiders, you're like, who's throwing him the ball? But, hey, if you bring in an elite weapon, you got Devontae Adams. You got a Brock Bowers now who can play opposite side of him. So, like, no matter who's under center, you got elite weapons that can compensate for the aptitude that you have, right? So, yeah, I think, like you said, that's kind of the trend we're moving toward.
Yeah, because, I mean, at this point, if you're the Raiders, all the QBs are gone. Like, you're literally the next pick after Bo Nix is off the board. Like, so you can't go QB here. So you have to go best weapon available at this point. And if that's Bowers on their board, then cool. Like, I get it. But again, like, should they have tried harder to trade up? You can make that case, but I wouldn't have been thrilled with Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy if I'm a Raider fan. Now, if you tell me we're trading up to go get Penix, that's different. But maybe the Falcons taking Penix at 8, fuck their board up. Now we're stuck with McCarthy if we move up, or Bo Nix if we move up. So is it even worth it to move up if we don't have them that high on our board?
to be honest, I think the Falcons taking Penix at 8 messed up everything for everybody. Because I fully believe they would have got Dallas Turner. The Vikings was getting Penix. I believe that. I believe they were getting
it made too much sense.
Yeah, you telling me Sam Darnold or Michael Penix? I'm taking my chance.
Dome with Jefferson?
Exactly.
With Penix arm and his deep ball accuracy with Justin Jefferson and Addison and Osborne and Hawkinson.
Behold. And this is what I like most about Michael Penix, right? They said they worked him out, and they specifically did it when it was gusty outside, right? They said the winds was crazy, the headwinds were strong, and he was throwing outside the numbers. They said he threw the ball as if he was inside a dome, and he was throwing intermediate routes.
A gun is a gun.
That's what sold me.
Yeah.
So you telling me that workout showed you that much, because y'all specifically put him in these harsh conditions just to see if he could do it. Can you imagine him in Minnesota? Oh my gosh. Would have been crazy.
Now he's going to be in the dome again, but now we get to see what Drake London is. Now we get to see what type of weapon can Kyle Pitts be. And putting him in the same backfield with Bijan, I'm not saying you have to do RPOs, but the screen game should be lit. Bijan in the flat should be lit. Like there should be some definitely should be some creativity being done offensively, which was non-existent the last few years in Atlanta.
But that's the bright side you can see about the Penix pick. But you also look at well, how long do we have to wait for that?
Right.
How long?
Right.
That's the big question. So taking him at 8 forced the Vikings to, I think, pivot. So I think they were going Penix there. And then so it's like, okay, well, the Broncos, if we don't get somebody now,
ain't
we may
nothing
not
left.
have that in the second round. You know what I mean?
Then you're looking at the Spencer Rattlers of the world, the Jordan Travises of the world.
Right. Yeah. And since Sean Payton already liked Bo Nix, it kind of makes sense because, you know what I'm saying? We gave him the playbook. It's not like Jamarcus Russell, right? We gave him the playbook. We asked him, did he go over it? There was nothing there.
Right.
Bo Nix actually went, studied, learned it, came back the next day and threw amazingly, they say. So if you like that about him, cool. Go ahead. Go for it.
Wouldn't have been me, but salute.
Hey, right. The Raiders we kind of in an odd position here, so let's just get whoever's the best weapon. It's Brock Bowers, in my opinion.
So the big three. Although I'm sure Caleb and even Jaden would say, fuck the big three, it's just big me. But Caleb, Jaden, and Drake May. Which fit out of those three, I think I know where you'll go.
You know I'm going.
Yeah. So so let's take Jaden off the table as the best fit, right? What fit besides Jaden Daniels intrigues you the most?
I'm intrigued to see what Caleb Williams becomes, right? Because if you watch him throughout this whole process, the entire time, I mean, you don't participate in the combine, that's your choice. You don't do the pro day, you said you was, that's your choice. And, even when you saw them coming to the draft, everybody got the Nike Pro jumpsuits on. You try your hardest to be different. You know what I mean? Like you're literally going out your way to be different than everybody else. Right. So you're cocky in a sense. Like you can be cocky, but it's a difference between cocky and kind of like, okay, bro, you're doing too much. You know what I mean? And based on the reports that we heard while you were still in college, like, his camp said he's gonna need ownership in whatever team takes him. Like, bro, you better hope you're the bee's knees. And there's literally no excuses. You got DJ Moore, you got Keenan Allen, and you got Rome Odunze. So you literally have more. You're coming to a better situation than some quarterbacks who's been in the league for 3, 4, 5 years. You're in a way better position than Justin Herbert. You're in a better position than Bryce Young. You're in a better position than Justin Fields ever had. You know what I mean? So you have no excuses. You can't say, he's a rookie. Well, let's take a look at some of those rookies, right? We already brought up RG3. We brought up Cam Newton. We brought up C.J. Stroud. Those three specifically has made it difficult to be a rookie in this game. And we took you number 1. And you have a great surrounding cast. So you can say DJ Moore is probably the version that Cam had of Steve Smith, right?
Sure.
And then CJ had, he had a tank. He had Nico. We didn't expect him to be as good as he was, but hey,
it
killed
worked.
Right? Yeah. So you got a DJ Moore. You got a Keenan Allen. And you got Rome Odunze, who I had as the second receiver come off the board, right? I had him going to the Giants, but it's about fit, what you like, the scheme, all that good stuff. So I get it. You literally have no excuses. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and make it to the playoffs. You ain't got to, lead the league in pass and lead the league in touchdowns, but you don't have the excuse, or he's just a rookie. You don't have room to be sloppy based off your attitude, what we surrounded you with, and how you presented yourself, right? You say, I'm the best quarterback in this draft. Turn the tape. I ain't got to say nothing else. Look at it. That's your attitude, so you better come with it, honestly.
As a former Bear fan,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give a little bail to Caleb in this degree. I think the Pops has a lot of LeVar Ball in him. I think the Pops was out here talking crazy with the ownership piece and maybe being the mouthpiece for Caleb and thinking that he was trying to do right by his son. And I think that will always rub the corporate structure the wrong way.
So before you go on,
Go ahead.
but if you're going to have a dad like LeVar, you have to be Alonzo by nature. You never heard Alonzo say anything.
Or you could be LiAngelo, or you could be LaMelo.
Yeah, and you chose the LaMelo route,
right?
And LaMelo has been balling. So
he's been balling.
You're going to have a LeVar as a dad,
right?
And you're going to choose one of the three you're going to be. Well, you can't be LiAngelo.
Nobody wants to be LiAngelo. Yeah,
you can't be.
Yeah,
you're not Lonzo because you've been talking way too much. Lonzo didn't say much,
right.
Man. That's my dad. He can say what he wants. Come out
right.
That's Lonzo.
Right.
LaMelo, he was with the shits. You know what I mean?
Big facts.
But he's also been balling. So to your point, if you do have a LeVar Ball as a dad, you better, and you've shown that you're going to be LaMelo out the bunch. You got a ball as well, which is what we're saying, right? So the fit there makes sense. It's we got rid of Justin Fields, who I think could have been great if you surrounded him with these pieces and some offensive line. I think it'd have been great. But since we did, we decided to move on. So what you got?
I think that would be the biggest what if here, is that if the Bears would have kept this same energy with Justin Fields, what could have been. Because even though we can certainly nitpick his game, and I'm not saying he's a flawless QB, but with the size, the arm, and the running ability that Justin Fields had, if you would have given him a year with Keenan Allen and Rome with another year of DJ Moore, I would have loved to see defenses try to stop that.
Yeah.
And even if he's a bridge, and I think that was like my whole point, and the Steelers have already come out and said they're not picking up the option on Justin Fields. So it's like they're just taking a flyer on him just to see if he has anything. And I'm like, why couldn't the Bears do the same exact thing? Like, if he turns out to be something, cool. Then you could re-up, or you could flip him then and get more than the goddamn conditional 6th round pick.
Right.
That might be a 4th if a million things break the right way. Like, you could have held on to him, let Caleb learn and sit. Because do I think Caleb's ready to start week 1? I don't think so. But the Bears have put them in a spot where they have no other choice. Now, he has to start week 1. He has to be good right away, or the pressure's going to mount. You're walking around with the nails done, hair done, everything bit. Okay, cool. You want to be on that type of time. All right. Chicago's not that type of city. That fan base is not that type of fan base. If you trick it off and throw a couple of pick sixes week 1 or within the first couple of weeks, it's going to be open season.
It's going to be nasty. And to me, I say Caleb Williams. They try to compare him to Mahomes. That's a terrible comparison, bro.
It's a mistake.
He's Gen Z Russell Wilson. That's who he is.
Which I wouldn't take at number 1. I hope he's better than that. Because if you're telling me his ceiling is Russell Wilson, that to me should not be number 1 overall.
I mean, you already got the kind of personality. It's different, but it's also Russell Wilson had a larger than the organization type of personality. You're getting that from Caleb already. Their games are similar, improvisation, all that good stuff. Like,
I get more Joe Burrow personality than Russ.
Not like, because Russ is kind of mild mannered, but he does have a larger than the org, right? He had his own office in Seattle.
Yeah. He plays the politic game.
Yeah. I've done this. I'm. Do you know who I am? And like Caleb's not the same, but it's the same in nature, if you know what I'm saying. Larger than the team.
I mean, I
So
think the Bears organization, which has never had a great QB in my entire lifetime, I think they'll be willing to acquiesce in and bend over backwards, no Diddy, for Caleb and his pops and whoever else wants to pull up. Like I think they'll be ready and willing to do that, like without a doubt. And that's the gift and the curse, because the Seahawks had to do it after they won the Super Bowl, and they had to make a choice. We're going to pay to keep LOB, or we're going to pay to keep Russ. And they chose Russ. And then the politics really kicked into high gear. The Bears are going to have to make that choice where, all right, DJ Moore's got another year or two left on his deal. What are you going to do? Keenan Allen essentially is on the last year of his deal. What are you going to do? Like, that's why I think the 9th pick, and we haven't gotten it, but we can in a moment, that 9th pick was a more pivotal pick. They were going to take a QB, whoever they like at 1. Cool.
Exactly.
But that 9th pick, they needed another weapon. They could have went O-line. They could have even went defense. But Keenan Allen's old. DJ Moore is close to exiting his prime. You can't just say, well, we got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Like, okay, that's good for this year.
Right.
Maybe even next year. But what about the year after that? Because if Caleb is Caleb, you're not going to be picking this high again.
You're not.
You're not going to have 2 picks in the top 10 again in 2 years if Caleb is him. Right. That's the goal. So, like, you needed to go at 9 and go ahead and take a weapon that can grow with Caleb and be the core going forward in Rome Odunze.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like I said, I had Rome going to the Giants, but getting him at 9 to me is a steal. I mean, he's a big body receiver. He can stretch the field, strong hands, route technician. I mean, you saw how him and Michael Penix looked when they were on the same page.
Right.
He's great.
Yeah.
I mean, no excuses. That's all I'm in with. There's no excuses for that number 1 pick. No excuses.
A guy that I trust in this scouting whole thing and in the industry of scouting, I said, how good is Rome? And he said, if it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., I ain't talking about senior. I don't want no smoke.
Hey, we're gonna stay away from that senior.
Yeah.
We want no smoke.
If it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome would be the first dude off the board. He would be the first receiver off the board. He was like, he does similar things. He's just not 6'4" with the skill set of someone that was birthed by a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, Rome is that good in some people's eyes. I'm not sitting here trying to cape. I'm just saying, like, the fact, like to your point, the fact that he was still sitting there at 9.
Yeah.
The fact that another receiver went before him in Neighbors, no shade to Neighbors, but for someone who I trust to feel like it's Harrison Jr. and slightly just below that is Rome Odunze.
Right.
That's high praise to get that at 9.
Exactly. Like, now, I again, it's about fit, right? When I was doing this, when I did the mock draft and we talked about it, I did based off best prospect and fit. Now, if you say Jalen Hyatt and Rome kind of have similar play style, similar build, you know what I mean? You wanted somebody who's a mix between Jamar Chase and a mix between Jettas, fine. But for the Bears, it just made it a lot more easier to get a number 1. You pretty much got 3 number 1s on this team right now. DJ Moore showing he's going to be a number 1. Keenan Allen has to be a number 1. Now, he's on the latter end of that, but he still can be a number 1. I mean, to me, he's better than Adam Thielen as a number 1 by far.
Right.
But now you got 3 number 1s. So, again, and a guy who looks like Gronkowski, right? We joked about that. So, I ain't saying you have to be CJ Stroud, but you can't come in here and be slaw. That, again, there's no excuses. And like you said, that number 9 pick was pivotal because it just confirmed what we just said. There are no excuses for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the one piece about Rome versus Neighbors, and you kind of touched on it, to me it's the size factor. Whereas you're talking about the fit and the scheme and all of that. Rome being 6'3", 215, that's something the Bears historically have had. Now they just never had the good QB to go with it. They had a Marcus Robinson. They had a Marty Booker. They had a Brandon Marshall. They've had these bigger receivers that can go up and go get it. And I think Rome Odunze fits that. Now you have DJ Moore, who's shifty. He can get vertical. He can also go get it, but he's a guy that's 6 foot. Getting
Right.
that 6'3", big target, big body, someone that you can really do. You could go old school and do post fades with, corner fades
Right.
with. That's something I think the Bears have been missing in terms of, especially in the red zone. The Bears have been horrible in the red zone for, well, damn near my lifetime, but
Right.
specifically the last 5 years. Now you have Keenan Allen, who still has good size, can go get it, and is a vet and knows how to get off and commit OPI without being called for it. He knows all the dirty tricks. He'll pass that down. Him and DJ Moore pass that down to Rome. Like, I think that's where you're setting the Bears up, where a couple of years from now, when DJ Moore is likely gone, when Keenan Allen is most definitely gone, and it's just Caleb and Rome, that needs to be that Burrow and Chase. That needs to be what we thought was going to be Cousins and Jefferson. It needs to be that type of duo that teams fear. And I think with Rome 6'3", with the size and the skill set, he looks to play the part.
Right. And so, let's in the Bears talk with this.
Yeah.
I say there's no excuse because what was the biggest knock on Caleb Williams, right? It was you try too hard to make the top 10 play, right? You scramble out, hey, 2nd and 4, bro. Just get the first down. But no, you want to scramble left, throw right across the field, and make the big play, right? And to that point, DJ Moore can take a swing route and take it 70 yards.
Right.
Keenan Allen is somebody, as far as top 10, he's a top 10 hard catch maker.
Route
So when Caleb does get those tendencies, I want to make a big play, and you throw it off a ball that's hard to catch. It may not be 50-50, it may be 70-30 towards the defense. Keenan Allen has showed us, even last year, that he can still twerk his body, twist his body and make those catches, right? He's shown us that. And now you go get somebody, like you said, is the big body that the Bears have known to draft in Rome. So they make up for his deficiencies. If you want to dink and dunk, you got a guy who can take it. If you want to throw those questionable balls, well, you got a guy who can one-hand it. And then you just got the big play threat who's young, just like you. Y'all can go together, like you said. So, again, I hope he's great. I don't want him to fail. I want him to be amazing. They literally laid it out for you. Give him some linemen, get some defense, but as long as you ball, then hey, it's justified.
How much time do we want to dedicate to Drake May and the Pats? Because to me, like you said with Bo Nix in Denver, you went meh. To me, even though it's the 3rd overall pick, Drake May to the Patriots, I just went meh. Like, it doesn't move the needle. We've been talking about young QBs getting weapons and flourishing. This is the complete opposite of that. This is, you need to be a savior. We have nothing here for you to play with. Go do it by yourself. Any thoughts on the Patriots and Drake May?
I think the Patriots need to live with being hated for a year. Okay. I think they need to do that. I say that to say Matt Jones and Bailey Zappi need to be your quarterbacks this upcoming year. Because
Mac Jones is gone, so it's not even Mac Jones. Mac
Jones is gone.
That's Bear.
Yeah, that's right. He's gone. That's right. Oh, well, Bailey Zappi has to be your quarterback.
Yeah.
He has to be, because throwing Drake May into that situation is pretty much like throwing JJ McCarthy into the Giants situation. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And so you'd rather people continue to hate Bailey Zappi and let Drake May fine-tune those deficiencies he have. Don't get me wrong, like we talked about it. The last pod, we didn't shit on Drake May, but kind of. I think he's a good quarterback. I mean, he's physically gifted. I mean,
yeah,
he is. He's 6'4", 230. You're physically.
Oh yeah, he looks the part.
You have a strong arm. Now you didn't play great the last half of the season, but you did throw 4,000 yards your first year. Like, you're a good QB, but there are some small things you have to work on to be an NFL ready QB. You know what I mean? And I think throwing him out there his first year, week 3, week 4, that's gonna kill all that, because you're gonna hear the noise. You're gonna hear the noise. Okay, we drafted Matt Jones. He was supposed to replace Tom Brady. Oh well, that didn't work. Okay, you're gonna replace the guy who replaced Tom Brady, and I don't think he's ready for that. So you have to live with being hated, and run a Mayo. I hope they give you the time to work with it. But hey, y'all need weapons. Y'all, the defense is decent. You need linemen. You need everything. And if you throw Drake May out there too early, it's gonna kill his confidence. You're gonna lose faith with the fan base, and it's gonna be terrible. So that's my synopsis on the whole Drake May situation. I think he'll be good eventually. I just don't think he's ready to start right now. And so, with that being said, you have to if you go to Robert Kraft, look, Rob, he not ready. Yeah, he will be the QB of the future, but he can't be that today. So we have to deal with another terrible season. Hey, maybe it's a receiver next year that we love, and we go get him with the first, not first pick, but like whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much my whole take on the pay. I knew they were getting him because Drake May or McCarthy. I'll take Drake May. I like the upside better, but he's not ready to start week 1.
No, and I think at that second pick in the second round, that's where something's going to have to happen in terms of getting him a weapon.
Yeah.
And you see that, like where they had Ricky Pearsall, who was projected to go in the second round, somehow creeps and crawls and reaches his way into the back half of the first round. So you don't know who's going to be there. The reaches were all over the place.
All over the place. I don't mean to cut you off, but that brings up that. So I told you I was going to tee you up for this.
Yep.
What pick surprised you the most? Or if you allow me to ask that a different way.
Sure.
What move that happened or move that didn't happen surprised you the most?
Outside of the Penix.
Outside of Penix.
Outside of Penix. I can't lie. I'm going to go to the 49ers and Ricky Pearsall.
Okay.
I'm not mad at taking a receiver because of there's always the rumors, or there has been the rumors of, are they going to trade Ayuk? There's even rumors, are they going to trade Debo? So I understand the concept. Well, let's get ahead of it. But my man's right here, who me and you spoke about, being that Xavier was right there on the board, and you go Ricky Pearsall, that to me was a move. I was like, man, Shanny, John Lynch, I know we're supposed to have faith in y'all because y'all pulled Brock Purdy out of nowhere and he turned out to be something. And you were able to go get McCaffrey for the low. I understand, but when Xavier's right there, and you take Ricky Pearsall,
and check this,
that to me was a head scratcher. Like, I understand why they went receiver. I don't understand why they went that receiver.
He played with Ayuk at Arizona State.
That's how
he played with him. He played with him. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good one. That's a good one. I mean,
I don't know why you're trying to trade Ayuk or Samuel. Be clear.
It works.
But if you're going to do that and you want to replace them, I would rather go with the 6'3" guy that I've seen have a big catch radius. Because, again, you're depending on Brock Purdy. So if you're going to take away bona fide true weapons and put young, unproven talent around him, I would give him somebody that I think is more likely to help him out than someone that he has to. I think Brock Purdy's going to have to help Ricky become a better receiver, where I think Xavier is more close to a finished product and could step in week 1 and be a guy that can help Brock Purdy week 1.
Right. So I like the pick. I like the answer. I was going a different direction, but let me come in on Pearsall real quick.
Okay.
I did tell you, off screen like a week or two ago, he needs to go to the Florida administration and slap everybody because they did not help him out at all. He's a pretty good player. He's a good player, but he wasn't using the. He's a difficult catch maker. He probably had one of the best catches of last season. The jump, turn around, one hand. As soon as he landed, get hit in the chest, still held on to it.
It was the catch of the year.
Yeah, he got big playability. Again, it was a reach in my opinion, but Florida needs to be ostracized the way they used him. For me, initially, it was the Bills trading that pick. It was the Bills.
Okay.
Because trading that pick to anybody, okay, but trading that pick to the Chiefs, who you've yet to get over in the playoffs,
right? Just
to get the guy that they wanted all along, like
very weird.
Yeah, because the 49ers very well could have took Xavier Worthy. They could have just to keep Kansas City from getting him.
Exactly.
It's pretty good too. But the fact that you went and got a guy who is literally faster than anybody has ever been in the combine. I mean, I know it's the whole Bo Jackson thing and Tyreek would have ran. We going off a fixed time, right? The fact that you traded and they got a receiver in that spot, it was a head scratcher. It was a head
Very
scratcher
much
for me.
so.
But then I slept on it. I thought about it. I was like, well, aren't the Bills picking at 33? So what you could have got at, what was that pick? 20 something?
20, where was it? 27 or 28?
Right.
It was 28.
So 27, 28. The receiver you could have got at 27, 28.
28.
Was that much of a difference between that and where you're picking at now at 33? You know what I mean? Because with the only reason I can justify it is because the Bills need picks.
Yes.
They need picks. Y'all lost a lot of people. I mean, the Chiefs don't need picks. They got Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And you just gave them you gave them a burner. Right? So for me, the Bills can still pick, I think they'll go Adonai Mitchell that first pick. I mean, if you don't, you pretty much saying you hate Josh Allen. Just if you don't get a receiver right there at 33, it's like when you know how women go on vacations and they secretly hate each other and they come out then. If you don't pick a receiver there, that's the same dynamic.
You hate that man. Yeah.
You hate him.
Yeah.
You hate him. So I can understand it because if you get, Ricky Pearsall is the name that kind of jumps out because why? But between Xavier Leggett, Xavier Worthy, and Adonai Mitchell, they're different players, but they all can contribute in their specific way, and it's justified, right? So that pick, them not picking a receiver, they're kind of, I was like, that's interesting. But hey, you say, hey, we do it because we're gonna get our guy first pick in the second round, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's the pick that stood out to me the most. That didn't happen, I should say.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Bills not giving Josh Allen help, but like you said, at the top of the second round, you would assume they'll address it. I mean, again, like you said, if they don't, if I'm Josh Allen, I want smoke.
Yes, with everybody.
Look, he may have been tired and ready for Stephon Diggs to be up out of there, but while that may be true, you can't then put me out there week 1 and I don't got nobody.
Nobody. Like we said, KJ Hamler, Curtis Samuel, and then Leggett's gone, right there. Bro, come on. You still got Keon Coleman. Okay. You got Adonai Mitchell. I like him. 4.3 speed, burner, good route technician. He can get it done. You know what I mean? You got Johnny Wilson, but that's
Keon Coleman, our favorite Keon Coleman.
Yeah. I was surprised. I thought the Ravens may go there, but hey, it's fine. I like the Nate Wiggins pick, but yeah, you have to take Adonai Mitchell there. You have to.
Is there a world where you see McConkey go over Mitchell if you're Buffalo?
I think that's malpractice if you do that.
Okay.
I think that's malpractice. No, don't get me wrong. I don't think Lad McConkey's a bad receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I just like what Adonai Mitchell was able to do better. I like that better. So what was my initial? Let me go to my initial right up on him.
I think it's a fair point to make. I think if you're Buffalo, you definitely have to navigate the landscape of, look, everyone knows we're light on weapons. Everyone knows we're looking for a receiver. I'm not mad at trading back if you felt like, look, yeah, we could take Worthy here. Yeah, we could go Xavier here. But if I favor Mitchell, and I'm getting Mitchell at a second round pick price as opposed to a first round pick price.
Right. Can I get more picks with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I say Mitchell over McConkey because I said 6'2", 4'3", 440. He's long ball tracker. He's quick off the line. He can break tackles, speed shifter in and out of routes. And I said his comp was George Pickens. That's what I said. Now you telling me I'm getting George Pickens at a second round price? I'll take that.
Yeah.
But now that's if you pick him. If you don't pick him, then I don't.
With the amount of reaches we saw last night, there is nothing we can
you're right.
Promise. You know what I'm saying? With who knows?
It's also the Bills.
If you're trying to replace what Diggs does, he's an elite top tier route runner. He's
Oh,
a guy that is quick off the
technician.
line, could get in and out of the routes.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the strong hand speed to fight off the jam. Is
Yep.
there any Stephon Diggs-esque skill set in any of these guys that potentially could be at the top of the second round available for the Buffalo Bills?
At
If you
the
had to
top,
pick one of these guys, or maybe it's somebody off this board. I mean, it's literally all the receivers. So is there anyone that can get off the line like Diggs, that can run routes like Diggs, and got the hands like Diggs?
I think some of them have some of the abilities. Like, you also have to remember that Stephon Diggs he can track a ball like nobody's business.
Correct. Yes.
He can track a ball. So
And
Keon
that
Coleman's good at
matters.
tracking
That
balls.
matters for sure. No doubt.
There is no 50-50 ball with Keon Coleman, but he's not quick off the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? Adonai Mitchell, yeah, he get in and out. His routes quick. I love his foot speed, his quickness. Now, he's not as shifty once he does catch the ball as Stephon Diggs, so he doesn't have that aspect to his game, but he does have the ability to break a tackle. You know what I mean? And he can go track a ball as well. So there's no cookie cutter Stephon Diggs left.
Okay.
But I do like what Adonai Mitchell brings to it. Like, Troy Franken's good, but he's not the Stephon Diggs you need. I mean, Ron Wilson, I like him. Jalen Polk. You already know how we feel about Keon Coleman. I mean, hey, you can look at his foot all you want. I don't really care about it. But honestly, I think Adonai Mitchell is the. I mean, you got to think about it. You had a fire running back. You had Xavier Worthy on the other side, and your starting quarterback went down like week 5. So if you still be able to make a name for yourself and still put up 1,000 yards, like I think that's the way to go. Now you also have to surround him with more people because, like I said, you can't have Xavier Worthy and Curtis Samuel and KJ Hamler. Like, now my boy KJ Britt for the Bucks, he said, "Hey man, you gotta stop talking about my boy KJ like that." I don't mean to shit on KJ Hamler, but let's keep it a buck. He ain't worrying me.
No, ain't nobody stunting that.
Exactly. So that's all I got for the Bills, bro.
Okay.
So now I do want to get into. We talked about like the picks that stood out to me.
Right.
You may surprise you.
Right. You
got
got 4 picks that stood out. Okay, cool.
Yes, and none of them are in the top half of the draft. Surprising.
Great.
So the first one I want to talk about is Jared Verse to the Rams.
Yep.
So Jared Verse was the 16th best prospect, and they got him at 19. So to me, that's a steal. Now, who did the Rams just lose?
Aaron Donald.
Bingo. Who did I tell you remind me of Aaron Donald? It's Johnny Newton.
Right.
It's Johnny Newton. So, I mean, yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Jared Verse is a great pick. It's a great pick. But Jared Verse is a 4.3 edge rusher. But, excuse me, don't y'all run 3.4?
They have.
Haven't y'all ran 3.4? So that pick to me, I was like, you're getting a surefire pass rusher. So to me, he's probably, I think he's third behind, okay, pass rushing ability, Leatu Latu, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. Prospect, I go Dallas Turner, Leatu Latu, and then I still go Jared Verse. So no matter how you slice it, to me, he's still third of the edge rushers. But the fact that y'all run a 3.4 and he's a 4.3 but he does have the hand speed. He has the initial burst. He can go off a block. I like the pick. I do like it. But it kind of would have did something for me if I saw Johnny Newton go there because, like I said, Aaron Donald, when he came in, he was undersized. Johnny Newton's undersized. When you saw Aaron Donald, he explosiveness from the interior spot. That's Johnny Newton. He literally jumps off the screen. If you turn on his tape, he jumps off the screen. So for me, I like the Jared Verse pick. You're getting a surefire player. He showed his ass at Florida State. He's a great pick. But the fact that y'all run a 3.4, he's 4.3. I mean, are you asking him to take on more block? Are you asking him to be more of a run stopper than, just a pass rusher? I don't know. But that pick intrigued me a lot. I like it, but I would have liked Johnny Newton a little bit better.
What's the next pick?
The next pick, I'm going to go Troy Fautanu from the Steelers.
Okay.
And, was that pick 20?
Yes.
Yep. So, I mean, he's the 15th best prospect, and you got him at 20. Now, They needed O-line help. Now, initially, I had them getting a center. It's fine. But this dude here, that's a player, bro.
Okay.
Strong as hell. When he throw that punch, he throwing it with a purpose. He throwing it with some power. He gonna wash it down the line. Pass pro is great. Like, this is a great pick for the Steelers. I think everybody was expecting to do something sexy and do something exciting because, you got Rush, you got Justin Fields. They've kind of had a exciting offseason. I think this was the smart pick. I think it was a safe pick. And I really like what Troy can bring to that, to that offense. It's going to help you be able to protect whoever is going to be back there, whether it's Russell Wilson or it's Justin Fields or, hell, they could draft Spencer Rattler too. We don't know. But getting him to help shore up and solidify that line, I like that pick because he also can slide to either side. So, and then, hey, imagine him pulling, with Najee Harris or whoever's running the ball. Like, that's going to be a great move. That's a day one starter right there. That's a day one starter. So I like that pick. Strangely enough,
Third one.
the next pick I want to talk about is Chop Robinson.
Okay.
Chop Robinson. Now, if you watch his film, if you watch him play, you would say a less impressive Michael Parsons. Now, that's still saying a lot.
Sure.
Now, I think he's a great pass rusher. My knock. He doesn't have the ability to compound moves, right? When I said who's the best pass rusher in this draft, I told you it was Leatu Latu, right? Why is he the best pass rusher? Because he can hit you with a bull rush, he can hit you with a rip, and then hit you with a spin move. The way he can compound his rush moves, that man is deadly. He's deadly. Chop Robinson doesn't have that ability yet. And so why this pick was so interesting to me, because people's like, oh, they going offensive line. Because, hell, one thing we don't want is for Tua to get hit no more. We don't need that. We don't need him throwing up John Wall gang signs. We don't need that, right? The fact that you have Bradley Chubb and you have another DN and you drafted him anyway, now I get it. Bradley Chubb got hurt a lot last year. Both your DNs did, but in the first round, that kind of is it's a solid pick, but I feel like you could have went elsewhere there. Now you did lose Dominique Wilkins. You lost him. Why not go get Devondre Sweat? You need interior defensive linemen. Now, getting Chop Robinson, somebody who gets if you're assuming Bradley Chubb's going to stay hurt a lot, I mean, okay. But I think that pick was interesting to me. It stuck out to me because, yes, he's a great pass rusher, but he has to learn how to put moves together because, hey, if that speed rush don't work, what else can you do? If that initial rip doesn't work or that swim doesn't work, you got to learn how to be able to compound some stuff, right?
Right.
That's my synopsis on him. The last one, crazy enough, the one right after it. Yeah. Now, you see what I got on today. Again, this is my attire because I'm just praying that Jerry doesn't do what it is that Jerry does. The guy we got was a smart pick. We traded back to get it. We got more picks, right? That's the pick I wanted you to do. But I feel like Jerry's going to do something because when Jerry makes his move, I'm pretty sure he says, "Oh, we're going to kill him with this one." Don't do that. Don't do that. Just make the smart pick. The Eagles made the smart pick. They made the smart pick. You have a running back at cornerback, and you struggle here. You know what? Bye-bye, Bradbury. This dude, this is the one I told you, reminded me of Jalen Ramsey. He thrived. He thrived in his own coverage throughout the season. He thrived there. He come downfield. 4-3. Bro, amazing player. And you know what's crazy? At the Senior Bowl, you know what he did best at? Man-to-man coverage. So you tell me you got an elite zone coverage cornerback who's learned to thrive in man-to-man as well, and the biggest hole on y'all defense was cornerback, bro. And you just got Gardner Johnson back. Come on. That is, and I hate the Eagles. Right. That's an amazing pick. Now a lot of people want them to get Terrion Arnold there. Hey, I ain't mad at it because that guy you got, he gonna do one. That again, and you need more young guys in that position. That was a great pick by them. The Cowboys need Howie because what he's doing is the definition of going all in. One, you signed your Heisman winning receiver to an extension, right? You signed him to an extension. Right. What else do? You go get the guy, the Heisman winner ain't even the alpha on the team.
No.
You signed him too to an extension, AJ Brown. And then, you know what we're going to do? we're going to address our biggest hole in the first round. Well, that pick was it was great. I loved it. And as a Cowboys fan, it hurt me to say that. But that was an amazing pick. So them the four, bro, that stuck out to me the best, or the most. Okay. So what you think about it?
All right. So, I mean, I like your four. I'll go quick with my four.
Okay.
So, Bengals at 18, they took Mims. And the offensive line was a problem last year. They have Orlando Brown Jr., so they're good on the left side, but the right side was open season, and we know the impact of Joe Burrow getting hit and how that has affected that franchise. So I understand why you go Mims. He certainly looks the part. 6'7", 340, can move. I just don't know if he was the guy I would have took there. Now, I'm not trying to be like you said with how you say homie in Pittsburgh?
Fautanu.
Yeah, Fautanu. I actually would have liked them to go Fautanu there instead of Mims. Now, I know right tackle is a priority for them. I get it.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm just going to take the largest human imaginable in the draft and just put him on that right side and expect that to protect, the 200+ guaranteed $1 million man in Joe Burrow. So I'm not saying it's a reach. I just don't know if that's where I would have went if I'm trying to protect the franchise QB in Joe Burrow. But I did expect them to go O-line. I just don't know if I would have went with Mims at that spot. So that's the first one that stood out to me.
Okay.
Latu with the Colts. Now, me and you have talked online and offline. I'm not the biggest edge proponent, right? I think you can turn a lot of linebackers into good edge rushers. It's been proven. Your squad has one hard stop in Micah. Latu, to me, I watched the film. I didn't see a flash.
Okay.
I saw a guy that's good, can definitely go sideline to sideline. I think you can scheme him into some spots to where he can really make an impact. But I think for what the Colts are trying to do, I don't see the fit there.
Okay.
I don't see the fit because I think they need edge rush help. They need someone who, as it says here, they do need edge rush help. I just don't see the skill set in Latu where he's getting off blocks.
Right.
I see him run off the edge, and I know that's the gig, but in terms of can he rip? Can he swim? Can he get low around that corner? I didn't see enough of that on the tape for me to say that's a real edge. To me, he looked like a big linebacker. And unless they're going to go to a 3-4 and have him blitzing in all types of ways and formations, then I could co-sign it. But as it stands right now with the scheme they have last year, I just don't see the Latu pick.
Yeah, I mean, he plays some linebacker. That's how they move him around. So
yeah, I think he needs to stay there. I would not put him on that line.
Okay.
We touched on that earlier, but Bowers to the Raiders. He's by far the best tight end prospect. I know you're trying to replace Darren Waller and what they have, Foster Moreau and all that type of jazz. I know you're trying to upgrade the position. But Davante Adams has 1 year left. Or he can opt out after next year. I think if I'm Davante Adams, I'm opting out because of that QB room, and it's topsy-turvy over there. I signed up here to go play with my college QB teammate. They got rid of him after 1 year. I didn't sign up for this. Why would you invest in a tight end when there's so many other receivers that you could have paired that could have a year to learn under Davante Adams, that can learn the tricks of the trade, that can learn how to be a professional, et cetera, et cetera? To me, that was a missed opportunity. And I don't even care who they go with at receiver. Just I felt that's a position of need as opposed to, well, we lost Waller Foster Moreau might not be who we thought he is or was. So let's go ahead and take the best tight end available on the board. I feel like you have to prepare that franchise for the inevitable outcome of Devontae Adams opting out and getting the fuck up out of there. And now you got nothing unless you go back, spin the block in the second round to go scoop up one of the dudes we've been talking about. But I feel at that position, at that spot, what was the 13th pick, there was a lot of top tier receivers you could have went with there. So to me, that was a position like I wouldn't have been mad at Brian Thomas. I wouldn't have been mad at that. Now 13, we probably wouldn't have projected it that high initially. But when you see the run on receivers that went and the run on the QBs that went, we're like, well, it's a free for all anyway.
Right.
So that was the pick, the third pick that stood out to me. And the last one, the Ravens. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know much about Nate Wiggins. I've seen him on tape. He looks okay. I'm not mad at Nate Wiggins going towards the bottom of the first round. I'm mad that the Ravens tricked off an opportunity here to give Lamar Jackson more weapons. The problem in the playoffs was not the DBs. The problem in the playoffs was not the defense. The problem in the playoffs was that you could not score when you had to. And I think, unfortunately, going with DB, and even though he could be a good DB, you got him back there with Kyle Hamilton and the secondary could be locked down, cool. You can't score. Defense is not the problem in Baltimore. The problem is they cannot score. Odell didn't work out. Zay Flowers, he looks the part, he looks good, but he's not a guy that I feel can be a number one wide receiver in this league. Bateman hasn't proven anything. So for me, it's like you had an opportunity there with the 30th pick to step up and go get somebody. And I'm not shading the DB. I'm not shading them, but to me, that's not the problem in Baltimore. And this organization is thought of as one of the best front offices, from Ozzie Newsome to Acosta in the new regime. They've been known to know who to go get. And maybe Wiggins will be one of them. But to me, the biggest bugaboo with the Ravens, what has stopped them from being what they think they could be, is the fact that they can't score, red zone or otherwise. So to trick off a chance to go get a receiver when you're picking this low in the draft, and it's not a guarantee that there's going to be a plethora of receivers available in a wide receiver rich draft like this one, to me, that's one that stood out to me as, wow, y'all still not really prioritizing getting Lamar some weapons.
Right. So let me ask you this though. What would you have felt about them getting Keon Coleman? I mean, because when I think about Zay Flowers and a Keon Coleman, I can't help but think about a Tank Dell and a Nico Collins. So what you think about that?
I would have liked that. I think, if you're talking Leggett or Keon Coleman, I think those are the types of skill sets, those are the types of big body targets, because Bateman is supposed to be that. But clearly that hasn't worked out. So if it ain't gonna be Bateman, now let's try it again. Maybe it's Keon Coleman, maybe it's Xavier Leggett, like maybe it's one of those. But you found the small guy who can get open, who's shifty, that can even take the top off the defense occasionally, and Zay. Okay, cool. Like let's take the Bears. You have your DJ Moore and Zay Flowers. Cool. Now I need a Keenan Allen. And there's no key. They're not taking the Keenan Allen yet. I think Leggett or Keon Coleman could have fit in that same type of mode. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, you pretty much said it. And then the thing is, you got a cornerback who's not like cornerbacks you're usually drafting. He's a slender guy, smaller in frame. I mean, 6'2", but he is smaller. Like him and Marlon Humphrey probably the same height, but Marlon Humphrey had some weight to him. He was muscle. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you
got a young guy who gives too much cushioning off coverage. I mean, he does run 4.2, so I mean he's fast, but I agree. When are you gonna start prioritizing your quarterback?
It's very weird. It's very weird how, like, I'm trying to trust him, and let's be real. If you're gonna go DB, how come Cooper wasn't the pick there? Like, what our teams talking themselves out of Cooper DeJean, has the narrative, has the reverse jinx worked where Cooper DeJean, who all the black folks are saying, no, he's the real deal. He's a first round pick, even though, yes, the stereotype of a white DB, this white DB now falls out the first round.
Yeah. I mean, you can also say the thing about Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid too. He's another one.
I think once the boards got jacked up, the boards were just jacked up.
The Falcons really hijacked the draft.
The
They
Falcons
fucked everybody head up.
They're the reason a lot of this stuff happened. They really are. So, I mean, I thought Cooper may go to the Packers. I mean, that's where he's projected to go. That's why I had him going. Or hell, even the 49ers could have got him. But, hey, somebody going to get a good player in the second round with him, Kool-Aid, and all these other guys who slid.
For sure.
So, last thing I want to talk about, bro, is the Cowboys, man. Again,
Okay.
I'm wearing this outfit today because I'm just going to come to God on my hands and knees. I just need Jerry Jones not to do the Jerry Jones thing. You did right about addressing. You did right about addressing one of the needs, offensive lineman. Now, do I think we can fix all our problems in the draft? No, I don't. But please, don't try to go for a flashy name. Don't try to go for a quarterback. Don't do none of the stuff that we don't need because you're Jerry Jones and you're like, I got him with this one. And you want Stephen A to come and troll you on Monday. Please don't do that. The people that we need to go get, who is it right here? We got Edrin Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M. Go get him. He's a tackling machine. Sideline to sideline, downhill. That's what we need in the middle. If you don't like him, we also have Junior Colson from Michigan. Also a great linebacker. Sideline to sideline, get downhill. Either one of those two in the second round, I'm perfectly fine with that. Who else can we get? Oh, there's Brandon Fisk in the third round. We just traded back to get more picks. Brandon Fisk, defensive tackle. We need that. He played at Florida State with an elite pass rush with Jerry Verse. So he'll know how to play beside Michael Parsons. The kid is quick, strong hands, and that swim move is lethal. We get him. Or if you don't like him, you know how we like troublemakers. T'Vondre Sweat. He was a first round pick. But because of the red flags due to the legal issues, he slid. Now, character classes, maybe I don't really care. Hey, you don't have to be a role model. Don't be a terrible person. But don't be you don't have to be a role model. Please go get one of those 4 people in these picks you got coming up today. Do not do the Jerry Jones thing. That's what we need. That's what you need to prioritize. That's what you need to make happen. Please and thank you.
You heard it first. Stephonè Sheffield has been my guest on the CMD podcast, giving you a little bit of flavor, quick, fast, right after the draft, heading into day 2, heading into day 3, giving you our first round analysis recap episode. Make sure to tap in with Steph. I'll have all of his social media stuff in the description, IG, Twitter, all that good stuff. Steph, I'll always appreciate you pulling up, always appreciate the knowledge, and me and you always we do this even when there's no cameras. We go back and forth, we sit and chop it up. So this is nothing new, but I wanted to make sure that people see how me and you can go back and forth and exchange ideas and work shit out.
Know that, man. It's always fun, always a privilege, always a pleasure, man. So I appreciate you having me on again, man.
Always, you already know the deal. So everyone, holla at Steph, tap in with him, follow him on the socials. Y'all know what it is with me. I appreciate y'all for pulling up and tapping in, and we'll catch y'all again on the next one. Appreciate y'all. Peace.